Hey friends out there, Rob here. Today I want to talk to you about cameras, specifically the Fujifilm X100f. I think this camera is really your best choice in 2024, and I want to share with you that in a video. We're going to do that by talking about 4 different things. Number 1, why I think the camera's great, but we're going to put that after I show you some photos. That way you can kind of jump on the bandwagon a little bit. If you're still eating the popcorn and you're drinking the Kool-Aid like I am, we're then going to talk about the accessories that I use that really make the camera stand out for me. Finally, we're going to talk about a video I made recently, which got kind of mixed reviews. It was about creativity and your camera being more creative than you, or are you the real creative? I want to talk about that because I think there's an idea that buying gear is important. And I'm going to leave that to the end so that only those that are actually really interested actually get to hear that point and we can have that discussion. So if you're ready to do that, let's jump into it now. All right, so let's look at some of these images. I wanted to first take you to a portrait session that I did. This was back in 2017, and I think this is indicative of the type of shots that you can get with simply the X100f. Now, I used this as well as the 50mm adapter, but we're going to look at all these. This is actually just the regular 23mm lens, and which is a 35mm equivalent, right? So here we go. Beautiful shots right here. Look at the gorgeous background. Okay, this is so beautifully blown out. We're at f2 on this. We're using the neutral density filter. We're at 1/250th of a second. And this one actually happens to be using the adapter, the 50mm adapter. Now, when we talk about this for portraiture, this is exactly the type of thing that you would expect, that you'd want to get. Here we go. Here's one right here as well. We're once again, that beautiful background bokeh, that nice blur, nice sharp image all around the entire image. Looks great. Here's one sitting down with the kiddos. We're still using the 50mm lens right here. And you can see how everything looks pretty. So this is just with the X100f, guys. Think about that. We've got this plus the lens adapter, the 50mm adapter, and boom, there you go. The kit is so small. We'll talk about that in a minute. So one of the things I'd like to share with you is just what the leaf shutter does. It gives you the ability to synchronize your flash at any of your apertures, which lets you shoot backlit subjects very easily. Here we have a backlit subject. As you can see, it's beautifully sharp all across the screen. We're at f2 once again, and the light is coming from behind our subject. Normally that would cause them to be in great shadow. So what have we done? We've used this flash right here in order to brighten the subjects with just a small tiny flash. Usually you need some kind of strobe or something like that. But there's more to it than just that. Let's move on down here. We can also capture some motion as our little sweetheart is being thrown up into the air. We've got nice sharpness on dad, and we've got this just beautiful black and white or color, this beautifully rendered blown out background, nice bokeh, and just gorgeous colors. So from there, let's come on over here and look at the X100S at New York City. Okay, so what we're looking at are some shots from New York City in 2016, just before the ball drop, so New Year's Eve. And I'm using the X100S. And I'm trying to just bring out as much color and saturation and excitement that I can get from the Big Apple here on this really exciting day. It's slightly rainy out. You can see we've got some reflections down in the water and stuff like that. Just an absolutely amazing photo. This is on the X100S, so a camera that's many years older than the X100f. And look at the detail and the sharpness that we're pulling out of these images. Yes, when you look at this, this was an edited photo, sure, but you have to have a good input in order to get an excellent output. And that's the type of work that you can do if you like to post-process all of your images with the X-Trans sensors. And this was the X-Trans sensor on the Fujifilm X100S. So 16 megapixels. Just an absolute beautiful image. Okay, so now we're back. And what did you think about those images, right? They were really something else. And this is just a snapshot of what the camera can do. The reality is that you don't need the X100 or the V or anything else like that. I think you've got a couple of choices. You've got your 16 megapixel sensors, and then you have your 24 megapixel sensors and up. I think you've got 2 sweet spots. The X100f, it was critically underrated. People completely overlooked it at the time of its release. It was just seen as a blasé kind of update, and so people said, remain on the T unless you feel like you need additional megapixels. That was the big deal with the X100f, the extra megapixels. 24 megapixels is a big deal, and I upgraded from the S to the F because I wanted 24 megapixels. But this is where your choice comes in, and I'm sorry to belabor the point. if you're going to get a 16 megapixel camera, the X100T, I think is too much money. I think you should go with the X100S. Less money, unless you can get them for around the same price, go with the S. So if you're not worried about megapixels, today I wouldn't worry so much about megapixels. If you need larger resolution things, you've got like Topaz to upscale, you've got AI upscalers. I don't think megapixels is a big deal. I think for me, 24 to 30 megapixels is really where I like to be as a photographer. And I think that's pretty much it. I really feel like 24 is pretty good. I don't feel the need to upgrade to anything for more megapixels. However, you can avoid all that by paying about double what you would for an S to get the F. So with an F, we're around $1,000, something like that, $900 that you can find one, which if you think about it, is still less by $500 or $600 than you will buy the X100 If I had to buy one today and money was not an option, I'd still buy the X100F. Okay guys, come in a little close. Thanks for watching. If you find this content helpful, come on man, hit that subscribe button down there. If you want me to answer your questions, I answer all subscriber questions, so hit that subscribe button. Like and share this video. If you really want to support, use the Amazon links down below and hit that little super thanks button down there. Send me a cup of coffee. Appreciate it. Back to the video. So that being said, let's look at some of those accessories. Number one, the lens adapter, right? This converter right here is the 50mm converter, and I use it for all the stuff that you would expect to use for photography, for weddings and things like that. This has taken so many shots, but I don't use it very often for my own personal photography. This is something I use when I'm going to shoot with a small kit and I want to do portraits. And what does it look like on the camera? Yeah, there you go. When you start getting into this as your camera and everything that you're shooting, it's getting a little bit overwieldy, right? So you need some other way to hold on to it. So for me, that's a half case. Okay, now that I've got a half case on there, it fits and works a lot better, right? But we've got a problem with the flash. That was one of the things that's so important about using this camera. The flash is blocked by the larger lens. So we need to put a flash. Now this flash is worth as much as this camera. This is the EFX20. If you can find one, pick it up. If you pay $500 for an EFX20, you can sell them all day long for $900 or $1,000. In the condition that mine's in, which is heavily used and a little bit abused, I can still get $700 for it. It's amazing how expensive this flash actually is. And I absolutely love the flash. Anyways, it's nothing special other than it's made the original flash for the X series when they came out with the X Pro 1. And of course, because of that, it has all the cool functions, X Sync, S Sync, Slave, 1 and 2 command, as well as the dials that match for easy metering, as well as other cool stuff. I use this flash most often when I'm photographing for myself or my family. But when I'm photographing for portraits, I like to use the Nissan I440, right? This one right here, or I400. I don't know that they still make this version, but this is a TTL version. If you've got any of the X series cameras, it will work with a lens automatically by telescoping the flash zoom to match the zoom lens on your camera. Of course, you can set the zoom as well, depending on where you need the zoom to be. So it's very cool. You've got that, all your different functions, and this all works together as one small compact unit. Now, if you were to compare this to a full frame camera, you'd have to say immediately you see the size difference, and that's a huge difference. If you've got a day of shooting that you're doing 3 or 4 different guests out at a park or someplace, this kit is more than capable of fulfilling whatever it is that you need done. However, this still isn't how I often use the camera. This is how I use it for paid and professional work, with and without the 50mm lens. This right here is the ring adapter that allows you to put on filters. This is a cheap one. I think it was $50 or $40 from JJC, and it allows me to put on a lens hood, which is the round lens hood, which I used to think looks really cool. I still kind of like it. I don't really mind it much. I never cared for the lens hoods. I think the square ones look better. So I guess it's a preference thing, but I generally use this 1/4 adapter or 1/4 power black diffusion filter. This is a cheap one from K&F Filters. It costs about $20 and it works awesome. And that's how I use the camera, generally speaking. Those are all of the accessories that I use. Now I've saved one of my most major and fun accessories for the very end, and that is a Fujifilm Instax mini printer. You can get a mini link printer, a mini wide printer, it doesn't matter which one you get. All of them are going to work well with your camera because the camera pairs to the printer. And when that happens, you can print out photos. Now, this is important, specific to enjoyment and fun, right? You want to just take some pictures of so-and-so doing something, you can, and you can print out whatever one you want and give it to your guests, you can give it to your clients, you can give it to your family. It's just a whole lot of fun, and it makes the experience shooting with this camera so enjoyable. Okay, so we've made it to the end, and the question remains, have I convinced you? Are you entertained? Do you want an X100F? Is this enough camera to scratch your retro X100 style itch in 2024? Or would you prefer to pay more? The final thing, before you say, I want to pay more, let me just back off that 1 second. I made a video questioning whether or not your camera was more creative than you. And it got mixed reviews. People really didn't like me asking that question, which is exactly the point, because it pressed them hard. And if you're still watching this, you likely want to hear this. Does it press you hard to think that the camera is more creative than you? Like, do you have to buy the X100 in order to get a good image? Guys, we're really sitting on gas. I'm trying to share with you, don't buy the X100 It's overhyped. It's an excellent camera, no doubt. I love it because I like the series, but you can get, I think, the epitome of what the X100 series provides in the F. So don't spend the extra money. Don't put yourself in a rock and a hard place just because you think you're buying something so much more in the X100 If you have the cash, great, go for it. This is a camera that's an investment camera for a long period of time. And it's a camera that should be picked up for a serious enthusiast, right? Otherwise, buy a cheaper model. You're going to get so many of the same features, and really what? You're going to miss out on IBIS and a 40 megapixel sensor and the Gen 2 lens? Really not that big of a deal. So guys, I hope that I have convinced you the X100F is the camera to get in 2024 over all of the other X100 series. And if I have, let me know down in the comments below. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, have a question, leave it below. I answer all subscriber questions, and I'll catch you all on the flip side. Bye for now.